Okay, so it is live right now. Let's double check here if it actually is. Let's refresh this page. Damn, I actually haven't done a live stream in so long. When was the last time I did a Twitch stream? It's probably like 3 weeks ago. And of course, like the last live stream was like a month ago. Okay, so it's working there. How many people are on? Okay, 0 people so far. I'll wait till some people join. In the meantime, I'll answer the questions posted on Patreon here for the people that can join during this time. So, the first question is from B. He asked thoughts on doing sauna after training. I honestly don't know much about like saunas and like their benefits. Stephanie Cohen was telling me that it's good for like HGH production. I honestly do not know. I don't think it's. I doubt there's like a huge benefit like to recovery. Doing those types of things like saunas, ice baths, and everything. I think people should just focus on getting enough calories, getting enough micronutrients, getting enough sleep. Those things are going to have like a much bigger impact on recovery than these like recovery modalities or whatever. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Thoughts on knee wraps when they are required, if at all. Yeah, I'm assuming he means like knee sleeves. For like knee wraps, like if you're a powerlifter, the only reason you should use knee wraps is if you want to lift more in competition. Like that's the case with like GPC. It will help you like squat a lot more. Okay, 6 people watching. So yeah, for the people watching now, feel free to post any questions you have in the comment section. I'm just going through some of the questions here on Patreon. But yeah, wearing knee sleeves, I wouldn't say it's necessary. I honestly think these days, like, all the like companies and everything, like Alico, like Hook Grip, all these like weightlifting like brands, I guess like they're just promoting it heavily. Like you don't actually need like knee sleeves, wrist wraps, a belt, especially if you're a beginner. Like those things. The main reason why you should use like knee sleeves and the belt is to lift more, especially like for like a top level weightlifter. Like it would probably benefit me in the clean and jerk if I started using a belt and started using knee sleeves. Like knee sleeves like increase like the stretch reflex in the bottom of the squat. It actually makes it easier to squat. The belt makes the pull easier and it can make the front squat easier. So do these like pieces of equipment like increase or decrease the chance of getting injured? I don't know. Like I actually don't think there's any like research done on that. Like I don't think there's any research that says that wearing knee sleeves actually prevents any injuries. I think there's actually like some research showing that like tight knee wraps actually damage the knee joint, but I don't think there's anything on knee sleeves. Like a lot of people say like, oh, it just keeps the knees warm. Like how scientific is that? I don't know. I guess like it can be used like as a band-aid if you're like pushing through training. That's like the only reason I use like knee sleeves. And I guess like if you have a chronic knee injury, like if you're older, I guess it might be necessary to just have that like band-aid to get through like training sessions. Harris asked, how much do you think your best lifts would increase if you bulk to 130 kilos? That's an interesting question. I don't think I'm like a good height to be like 130 kilos. I believe I'm like 5'10". I have to measure myself again. I actually think I'm like 5'11". It's been a while since I measured myself. But yeah, me being 130 kilos at like 5'11", I don't think that'd be optimal for me at all. Of course, like my snatch and clean jerk would increase, and it would take a long time for me to like adapt to that heavier body weight. If I bulked up to like 115, if I spend time like changing around my clean and jerk technique and snatch technique, obviously I would do like a lot better than I'm doing now. But like 130 kilos, that is way too heavy for like my height. It's kind of funny because I begin to realize that I actually might be able to lift more at a lot of lighter body weight, like being like 97 or 98 kilos, compared to if I was like 105, 106 kilos. Like I'm actually doing better in Olympic lifts these days. Okay, so for some reason I smell something weird in my house. It smells kind of strange. Whatever. Um, Adrian asked on YouTube here. Okay, maybe I shouldn't have this tab open on this side. Okay, I'm gonna put this over here. He asks on YouTube, is there any sport you wish you could have done growing up? Um, I don't know. I think I made like the right decisions when I was younger. I really enjoyed like parkour, free running, and tricking, and doing track and field when I was younger. I wouldn't go back and like do a different sport. Of course, it probably would have benefited my weightlifting slightly if I started it like when I was like 10 or 11. But I guess I kind of started at like the best time, which was like before puberty. I started when I was 15. So, no, I wouldn't really change anything if I could go back in time, honestly. I did a lot of fun sports when I was younger, especially like tricking. Oh, you're running out of this space. Okay, yeah, that's because I was downloading something and you turned. I had to delete some stuff in my second hard drive. Okay, it's 12 people watching YouTube. Feel free to ask any questions. I'm just going to go through some of the Patreon questions here. So Harris asked, why did you stop doing the turbo sound? You know, I mean, that sound you used to make when you were squatting. I kind of explained that actually in, what video was that? It was in like the first commentary video I made. If you watch that video, I explain anyway why I kind of stopped making that weird noise. I feel like I'm creating like better core tightness and everything when I hold my breath. And that's what I used to do in like the past for my squats. So yeah, that's why I stopped making that weird noise. Yeah, pretty much. So I don't breathe out anymore in the eccentric, and I just like breathe out everything when I come up from the squat like the concentric. Okay, it's turning people watching, but there's no one asking questions. I'll just keep going through these questions. B asked another question here. What do you think are some determining factors for grip in clean and jerk? What would you recommend for a noob? Generally, it should be like just outside shoulder width. So like this is shoulder width, this is outside shoulder width. That's generally where the clean and jerk width should be, and that's like what all beginners should try to begin with, and then later on, once they become more advanced, they can pick a grip that suits them better based off like experimentation. But yeah, just try like a grip outside shoulder width. Basically the same grip you'd use in the front squat. If you're front squatting with like a narrow grip like this and it's uncomfortable, but you find like a grip like out here is better, then it should be the exact same thing in your clean and jerk. So just experiment with your grip in the front squat, but generally you should be like outside shoulder width. 13 people watching at the moment. That's good. Thomas asks, do you put a lot of pressure on your head when you squat? Does this not cause pressure headaches? I actually notice that a lot more when I do pause squats. Like I get like headaches a lot more when I do like heavy pause squats. It's probably because I hold my breath longer because the eccentric is slower and the entire lift is longer compared to like a regular back squat. Yeah, you just have to focus on your breathing. If it gets really bad, then try like breathing out slightly during the eccentric of the squat, and of course make sure you breathe out enough during the concentric. And if it's really a problem, then you can just do regular squats. There's no need to do pause squats. You can just choose a different variation for the squat if it's causing you problems. What merits do you find in pause squats? Has your view on them changed in the last years? The main reason I stopped doing pause squats is because regular squats don't hurt my knees as much anymore as they used to in the past, because my knees used to be pretty bad and it prevents me from doing like regular back squats. So that's literally the reason I dropped pause back squats, is because my knees feel better. I think the regular back squat has more carryover for the Olympic list, because like you train the stretch reflex and you don't do that in the pause squat. Like you don't do like a clean and jerk where you pause at the bottom of the lift. That'd be like really inefficient and slow. Like weightlifting's all about like speed. Okay, it's kind of strange the way no one's asking questions on YouTube, so feel free to ask questions because I'm actually almost finished these questions here, and it's been 10 minutes. Maybe I just have to refresh the page, but there's no one asking questions here. Oh fuck, I shouldn't have refreshed that. I think it just went offline for a second there. Pongy? That's on YouTube. Do you think butt winks are good or bad? Well, a minor butt wink isn't an issue, and it kind of just like depends on like your genetics, like your hip structure, femur length, etc. Yeah, if your butt wink is minimal, then I wouldn't worry about it at all. And if it's significant, I wouldn't even worry about like injury, because butt winks probably don't cause injury. But what it does is it prevents like power production in the squat. So you should try to eliminate it, obviously, if possible. Find the limiting factor in your mobility, whether it's like hips or ankles. And I know it's like another reason why people do butt winks is they try to like hyperextend. Okay, that's really annoying. They try to hyperextend their back at the beginning of the squat, so they just arch massively at the start of the squat. And then, of course, when they squat, their spine will go neutral, and then the butt wink would become more obvious. So just try to begin the squat without like a massive arch in the lower back. This question here on YouTube. Posting this since it is not showing on Patreon. Is it better to become stronger in the squat than focus on classical lifts? Or the other way around? I feel like my lifts, 55 kilos and 85 kilos, are way too weak compared to my squat. Oh, if you're a beginner, I wouldn't even worry about like strength numbers at all. You should be concerned with like learning technique, proper technique in snatch, clean and jerk. Then you can worry about like just general strength. Of course, you should still do like strength exercises that like prevent injuries and like strengthen certain positions. So you should be doing like snatch deadlifts and clean deadlifts, stuff like overhead squats, behind the neck snatch grip, push press. You should be doing those exercises as a beginner because you need to strengthen like those positions. But like in terms of doing like lifts like squat and like deadlift and stiff leg deadlift, like those general strength exercises, don't worry about those like exercises until you become like intermediate or advanced. As a beginner, like the first like 8 to 1 year of training, 8 months to 1 year of training, you should just focus a lot on technique. Okay, thanks. Because what I exactly do, I try to make a big arch. Yeah, that's what a lot of people do in their squat. Where was I here on the Patreon questions? Yeah, guys, I almost finished these questions, so feel free to ask more questions in the chat. Even the people that ask questions already, feel free to ask as much questions as you want. Where was I? Oh yeah, so Thomas asked again, has your muscle mass caused you any discomfort sleeping? For instance, can you no longer lie on your side? No, never really noticed any problems like that, like increased muscle mass. I guess like when I was heavy, I guess like my blood pressure and like heart rate was higher. And yeah, that made it more difficult to sleep. And I hear like top level bodybuilders and like strongman competitors, they actually need like assisted breathing when they're asleep. They need to like wear like oxygen masks and everything to help them breathe. So yeah, a lot of muscle mass can cause problems sleeping. So, but not with the like amount of muscle mass I have. It's no issue. Any recent changes in diet? Tried the new banana Weetabix. Drop Cocoa Pops. I actually haven't had Cocoa Pops in ages, and I never tried the banana Weetabix. I heard it's not that good, but I guess I need to try it. No, I haven't really changed my diet, honestly. I'm kind of just eating the same things. Cocoa Pops aren't vegan. Yeah, that's a meme at this point. So some questions here on YouTube again. From PTC. Where do you think your channel is going in the future? More collabs, etc. That's a good question, actually. I'll enjoy answering that one. So yeah, I'm trying to just like make entertaining videos at the moment, like especially like with the Hayden collab. Like that is pretty much different content to what I'm usually posting, and of course I'm keeping like a library of like max lift videos because I know they're going to get a lot of views. Like, so for example, I can just tell you right now what videos I haven't released. So I have the 190 kilo snatch, haven't released that. I have a video where I squat 265 for 10 reps. I have a video where I pause squat 310. A video where I a video where I do regular squat with 260 for 9 reps. A video where I deadlift 300 for 5 reps. Yeah, I think those are like the biggest ones. There's a lot of squat videos I haven't released, and yeah, they always get loads of views. But yeah, the two biggest ones are the 190 snatch and the 310 pause squat, and the 265 for 10. That's crazy. Oh, also, I didn't release a 160 power snatch, and I did 162 like a few weeks after that. So 162 is my best power snatch, and I never uploaded that. So I'm just like saving those videos because I know they're gonna get loads of views. And I'm trying to like just do like different content. Like I always like experiment with like different content on Patreon. Like you've seen like the motorbike videos. I actually have plans to make like more like informative type videos. I was thinking about making this like controversial like video series on Patreon where I talk about like drug testing and how athletes like pass drug tests. So I might release something like that. I actually made like a small script for a new video that I plan to release on Patreon. It's about like the drug testing for like testosterone and how athletes get away with it. But I might not release that for a while. Yeah, so basically I just want to post like loads of different types of content. I don't want to just keep making like training videos because that'll get boring eventually. And of course I want to like work on my Twitch channel. I haven't done a Twitch stream like 3 weeks. That's something I really want to do, like focus on Twitch. But yeah, you guys are gonna get like the new type of content first, I guess, because you're on Patreon. Pongai? I don't even know how to pronounce it, your name. When you hurt your knee a while back and had to stop weightlifting for a while, what did you do? I guess you should just read the All Things Gym article. Like I basically explained everything in that article. It's here, like Clarence, yeah, Kennedy, All Things Gym, all caps, All Things Gym interview. Yeah, this one. I'll post it in the, so you can save it for later. Yeah, I basically explained like how I overcame my like knee injury and like what I did. I go into like a lot of detail here actually, and that's like my program I was doing. This is like the training I did in Poland. I explained like the surgery I got and everything, and like the exercises I did to help with it. And I talked about like my changes in training structure and everything. Yeah, so this is definitely a good article to read, even though it's like really old, just like in 2015. I think there's only like one question here left. Is there any on YouTube? Okay, no questions on YouTube. So the last question on Patreon is from Curtis Bullard. He asked, what do you think about the vertical shins cue for the first pull? Is it universal cue for everyone? No, I generally won't even talk about like the shins in the arm position. Like, of course, some people would have like a vertical shin due to like their body structure and everything, but it's better to think about like foot pressure. Like the foot pressure in the snatch and clean should be like in the midfoot. For some people, or for most people, if they have like a vertical shin, that means they're going to be leaning back on the heels way too much, and that is not good for the first pull, because then it causes you to pull the bar back instead of upwards. So it's not a good cue in my opinion. Focus on like foot pressure instead. Okay, we'll check it out after the live stream. Thanks. Okay, that's awesome. If you have any more questions, feel free to ask them because I run out of questions here. Yep. Guess I'll talk about my training tonight. It's actually a really good training session. Owen came down here and I went for a max snatch and I got 170, got 180, no misses up to like 180. Then I missed like 185 like 4 times and then I hit it really easily. And then Owen was telling me to go for like 192 and I was like, nah, it's a bit too much. And I was telling him that like there was motivation basically for me to hit 190 again because I'm at a lighter body weight at the moment. Like when I did 190 for the first time I was like 102 kilos, but now I'm like 98. So there was motivation behind hitting that 190. So I threw on 190 and fuck, I came so close. I just missed it behind. It was like stabilized for a second and then lost it behind. Got annoyed and then I just threw on 192 kilos and the fucking straps ripped during the first pull, so that just ruined the attempt. And since I took like loads of attempts at 185, I just like stopped snatching there because I would have fatigued myself massively if I kept going. Because I'm gonna meet up with Gregor in Germany in a couple of days and I want to be like peaked by then, so that's why I didn't take like more attempts at 192 or 190. After that I just did light power clean jerks, singles up to 160, and then I just did some moderate weight back squats. So yeah, it was a good training session today. Gonna edit that video after this live stream. What's your rank in Overwatch? Yeah, I did the competitive season for healer only. Did do for like a damage or tank, yeah. I think it was like I actually don't even understand what it means, but it says 1500. Was it 1500 for like healer? So I don't know if that's good or bad. Do you deal with any knee pain or back pain right now? I kind of have like a weird back injury at the moment. Like if you look back to this video, actually, I'll show you. So yeah, with this, I tweaked my back in this lift, alright? And this was, yeah, this is when I came up from the front squat. So a few days after this, my back kind of felt fine, like almost like 100%. And then eventually it kind of just went away. And then I started training again. I think it was during like a clean pull. Or was it a back squat? I think it was a back squat. I actually tweaked it again. So I had the exact same injury. It actually doesn't really affect my lifting, it just makes it uncomfortable. And then, yeah, the exact same thing happened. Like, I took a few days off. Well, not a few days off training, but a few days later, like, my back was fine. And then I got up one morning out of bed and I tweaked it again. And it's still kind of affecting me now. But it's not preventing me from, like, lifting heavy weights at all. It's just a small pain in my, like, mid-back. So that's the only, like, back issue I have at the moment. I guess I'm kind of like experiencing knee pain and back pain constantly. Like I feel like my whole body's like messed up, so it kind of just blends in together and feels normal. I know that sounds kind of fucked up, but like my hips are sore, my knees are sore, my back is sore, my wrists are sore, my shoulders sore. So I have so many like minor injuries that it kind of just blends and it feels like it's normal. So PTCS, do you have any day-to-day pain you think was caused by weightlifting? Not sure what you mean by that. Like I kind of explained like the injuries I'm currently experiencing. I'm not sure what you mean by day-to-day pain. Like pain outside weightlifting training. Is that what you mean? I wouldn't really say I have pain outside weightlifting training. I guess like if I go for like a long drive, my hips like start tightening up, and yeah, that's probably the only thing. But other than that, no. Day to day life is not too bad. I guess I'll answer some random questions here because there's people like posting questions all over the place. Um, yeah, hi Clarence, what do you do in terms of recovery when doing any type of training, heavy or not? Yeah, it's kind of the same answer to the first question. Um, I basically said like all the recovery modalities or whatever, like ice baths, foam rolling, um, sauna, steam rooms, etc. They don't have like a big impact on recovery. The biggest thing you can do for recovery is sleep properly, something I need to work on. Um, Eat correctly, make sure you get enough like protein, the correct amount of micronutrients. Yeah, so diet and sleep are the biggest things for recovery, and of course, like try to minimize like the stress you have in your life. Of course, like obviously, it's not good for recovery if you're working like a very difficult job. So, if your goal is truly weightlifting and you want to improve on it, then maybe consider like finding an easier job. Honestly, like I'm coaching this guy that like works in construction, and he was telling me that like he's getting injured from it basically. So that's not ideal if you want to become like a high level powerlifter or weightlifter. I think Juji actually wrote an article about that like ages ago. He's just basically telling people like if you want to be like successful in a certain sport, you just need to get an easy job. Any other questions here? Any other questions for the people watching on YouTube? Disregard females acquire gains. Oh yeah, I should probably go over these form checks, especially since there's not a lot of questions this live stream. So yeah, I actually did this. I completely forgot actually, and I was actually gone away for like 5 days this week. So I just completely forgot about this. Sorry guys, I should have done this ages ago. So I made this post for $10 patrons only for form checks. So this guy, Johnny from Taiwan, he posted a video of his 80% clean jerk. So I'll just bring this up here, and I'll let him know what I think of his technique. Why did it give me his height? 180 centimeters, 75 kilos. Okay, let's watch this like in slow motion. Oh fuck, that doesn't matter. First pull is actually pretty good. There's not any issues with that. That movement is kind of unnecessary. So like, you begin with your hips very low and your shoulders behind the bar, and then once you actually begin to pull off the floor, like you can even see your toes are off the floor, and then you shift into a good position here. So what I recommend is like try a static start, like hold this position like when the weights are on the floor for like 2 seconds, and then begin to pull from there. Just have the starting position consistent, because I bet with like weights like 40 kilos, you actually pull with your hips that low and your shoulders behind the bar, because you can get away with it. But once it gets heavier, then you're forced into like this optimal position. So yeah, contact is fine. Oh fuck, what's going on here? Let's bring it back to normal speed. Okay, not moving the feet is kind of a problem here. You should try to move out your feet to a wider catch position. So if your front squat stance is wider than this, then you need to jump out to that front squat stance. If it's the same width as this, you need to start with like a more narrow stance in the clean, and then jump out. And like just thinking about jumping into a wider stance, that will force you to extend better as well. Yeah. Oh, power jerk. Okay, I don't like the look of that one. I'd recommend, honestly, for the majority of people, uh, like especially this guy, because I assume he tried like split jerk for a while and thought it didn't suit him. Um, he needs to just spend a lot of time like learning the split jerk technique. It's definitely better than power jerk for the majority of people. So yeah, I assume this guy like he just spent like maybe like a month or two like learning the split jerk, then said to himself, okay, it probably doesn't suit me. I'm just gonna do like power jerk. Definitely try like relearn the split jerk. It is better. There's more room for error in the split jerk. It's just a better way of jerking for the majority of people. The power jerk is gets really difficult once you get stronger. The dip is fine actually. Dip is pretty good. And the catch, the knees are like way too far forward here. Um, you're inclined forward a bit too much. Caught the weight on the toes, so it's too much weight on the toes, and that's why you had to walk forward like that. But overall, I would just say, like for the jerk, like the dip and drive is excellent. Just learn the split jerk. Okay, back to the questions here on YouTube. Um, fuck, this is really annoying. How do I like cancel that? Oh, whatever. Okay, maybe if I just leave this open, it won't annoy me. Fuck, where was I? I just stretch it out and it doesn't bother me too much when I squat. Not sure what you mean by that. Just a little bit of pressure. How did your body take the weight cut from the 100s to your body weight now? Well, like 100 kilos of body weight, so like 98 isn't that significant. Um, yeah, like it's way better being like 98 kilos though, and maybe I'll try to go back to like 97. Um, like I feel a lot faster, more athletic, more mobile. It's just way better for weightlifting, even though my strength would decrease slightly. Like my positions, speed, everything. It's way better. Jacob asked on YouTube, when you move onto powerlifting in the future, will you continue pulling conventional or might you switch to sumo? I don't know. Like I don't know what I do when I like switch to powerlifting. Like I kind of ask myself that all the time. Like, will I actually try to lift the biggest numbers possible by doing like low bar squat and possibly sumo? I don't know if that suits me anyway. I might. I don't know. I'd like to just like experiment with those lifts, just from like a learning point of view. Like, I guess if I like practice those lifts, I'd be better able to teach it to people I coach and understand it better. So, from that perspective, yeah, like I do have experience in like sumo and like low bar squats, but not a lot of experience. Yeah. So here's the next form check from G. Libriala. This is a clean and jerk. Okay. It's actually the same problem with the last similar problem. So you need to jump out wider in your catch stance because this is way too narrow. You can even see this is causing problems. Look, you're on your toes here. So that's just making like the catch and the front squat really awkward. There's no way you front squat with like a stance this narrow. If you do, you need to widen that. That's way too narrow. Kind of leaning back excessively on that extension as well. You should try to focus more on like the knee extension. Yeah. Main issue is the stance. Way too narrow. Okay, so do have short legs, so that dip is probably fine. That's probably deep enough. Let's watch that again. You just go down a bit too fast and you can see the bar like crashes on you a bit. You should also try to like keep your knees out a bit more. The drive. You go into the split way too early here. You should try to drive longer, wait till the bar gets a bit higher, like past eye level, and then start going into the split. That's why like it looks kind of awkward here. So your feet land and you see your arms are not even close to being extended. Whereas if you compare that to like a professional weightlifter, if you see like when their feet land and like how far their arms are extended, they're going to be like closer to full extension compared to your jerk here. Another issue is the length of the split. It should be longer, and you should try to like point your heel, turn it this way, and bend your knee. Like you should unlock your back leg, so it shouldn't be like completely locked out like this. Like overall, I would say just lower the weight. Like this is 225 pounds. Maybe lower to like 70 kilos, whatever that is in pounds. That's like what, 165 or something. And just do a bunch of doubles. You just need like more practice with lighter weights before going to like a weight like this. It looks like you're maxing here, so it's just too soon to go for a max. Basically, you should try to improve the technique a bit more first. Yeah, you just need to work on like the split position as well. So like exercises like pause in split, presses, jerk balances. Like just type those exercises into YouTube and you'll find them. I think there's a couple of videos from like Greg Everett on that. Daniel Salvik asked, or just said, who cares about low bar? We're freaks. Yeah, fuck low bar. Where was I? Okay, back to the form checks. I think he sent me a snatch video here as well. Yeah, so sorry, this is actually from like 2 weeks ago. Should have done this earlier. I was thinking about doing like the form check for $10 patrons, like twice per month. Yeah, same thing here. You need to jump out into a wider stance, especially in the snatch. Like going into a wider stance will allow you to go deeper as well. I know you do have like short legs and everything, but this stance is way too narrow. And you don't even move your feet out. You actually just stay in the same position. If anything, like your heels like go in slightly. So that's never a good idea. So yeah, just practice like. You could probably have like a more narrow stance than this in the snatch, and then you can just jump out into a slightly more wider stance than this. So you just need to experiment with that. Other than that, it's pretty good. Overhead position's pretty solid. The pull is fine actually here. Yeah, biggest issue is the stance. I'd like to see this stuff from side view, but I don't think he has any more videos. The extension is a bit slow, and that's because you're keeping your feet like glued to the floor. You can see like from the knee to the catch, the bar it doesn't move as fast as it should. Oh fuck, I shouldn't have closed that. Let's have to reopen it again. Any more questions in the live chat? Feel free to post them. Where was this form check? Okay, here. So Skylar is the next guy. Give me a snatch video here. Hang snatch Areno? It's like snatch in Spanish or something. I don't know the different languages of like snatch. Clean jerk. I know in Polish like snatch is like Rowane, I think. I forget the name of the clean jerk. It's like Podzurut or something. Podzurut. But anyway, this isn't bad actually. Okay, you can, yeah, it's kind of funny because like for these like three guys, that like I looked at here, the stance is an issue for all three of them. So this stance is just not wide enough. Um, the starting stance you can definitely widen a bit more, but his knees are really being forced out. So yeah, so what you should try here is try to track, like think about, instead of keeping your knees out, obviously you need to widen your stance. Instead of like forcing your knees out like this, try to think about like tracking your knees over your toes instead, because your knees are traveling out way too much here. And you can even see like the catch, like you go on the toes here, you catch on the toes and then your heels turn in. So point your toes out a bit more. There's no need to try to keep them straight because you're just gonna force them into like a better position. You see your like your heels cave in there. So yeah, that's the main issue, the stance again. Just jump out wider, track your knees over your toes, point your toes out a bit more. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Like when I say point the toes out more, it's actually fine here, but like I can see you're trying to catch it with like your feet straight, and then it just shifts into like a better position. So why not just go into that position straight away, like with your feet. I'll go over his snatch video or clean jerk video now. Even here, like I can see you're really trying to. You must have been doing this to snatch. I'll watch the snatch again. It's like you're trying to like really force the knees out in the pull here. I imagine like when you do snatch, clean, jerk off the floor, you really try to keep your knees out excessively. Yeah, like I wasn't really paying attention to this. So like in the pull here, your knees are like way too far out. They just need to be tracking over your toes. They don't need to be pointed out this much. And you can see in the clean, they're pointed out way too much. It's like the pressure is going on like the outside of your feet. It should be like in the center of your foot, not here, you know? Okay. Same thing again with the stance and like your knees going out excessively. You can see you're trying to like keep your toes pretty straight, and then you see your heels slide in. So watch this. Heels go up and then they go in. So why not just try to catch it in that position with your toes pointed out? And of course, same thing here. You should be bringing your knees in a bit more. They're pointed out way too much. You need to get your feet moving as well during the extension. Well, a bit more. They are moving a bit better here compared to the snatch, but still. Be interesting to see his jerk technique. Yeah, the stance here is too narrow. Like it should be wider, so like your right foot should be like around here. It's too narrow. There's no stability like side to side. Yeah, you can see like you're really struggling to hold up. Of course, I'll see from side view, but it kind of looks like you put too much pressure on the front foot here, and that's why you struggle to like pull it back when you recovered. Yeah. You have very long arms. I'd recommend like trying to like readjust after the clean and just make your grip a bit wider, because like the distance you have to bring the bar is a lot more compared to like lifters with shorter arms. So yeah, try a wider grip in the jerk. I bet it'll be better. So okay, looked at Skyler's videos. So I'll look at this guy's videos in a second. I'll just answer the questions here on YouTube. Have you ever got into a fight? No, not really. Like when I was in primary school. So that's like in Ireland. That's like ages 5 to 12. yeah, I got into a few fights then, but like after that, no. I actually broke someone's leg in primary school when I was like, what, like 8 or 9 years old. So yeah, that happened. Um, Patrick, her knee asked, did you do any, or sorry, did you do accessory exercises during starting out? You can do muscle ups on rings, besides tricking, gymnastics, calisthenics, etc. What do you mean by accessory exercises? Do you mean like calisthenics? Like when I started like weightlifting, I guess I didn't really know too much at the start. Actually, there was a small period of time where I went to the gym and I was just doing like bench press and like bicep curls and like quarter squats, but that was like very short lived. That was like probably like a month, and then I started doing like proper like ass to grass squats and like snatch, clean, jerk. Um, yeah, during that time I didn't really do much accessory exercises other than calisthenics because I still kind of doing parkour at the time and like um, tricking, so I was doing like a bodyweight exercises, but like in terms of doing like I don't know like Bulgarian split squats, rear delt flies, like shoulder raises, I wasn't doing much of that at all. Later on in my training, I guess I started doing a bit more of that, um, just for physique goals, I guess. Um, but yeah, not much accessory exercises, and at the moment I'm not doing any accessory exercises. Like my training's like very specific. Should I be doing them? Maybe. The main reason I don't do them is because of laziness, really. Takes up more time in the gym. He also asked, how do you create that bounce at the top of the clean? Bounce? At the top? What do you mean? Like, do you mean at the bottom, not top? I haven't started weightlifting and plan to in the future starting with powerlifting. I actually don't even know what you mean by a bounce at the top of the clean. Is that like he either means like the stretch reflex at the bottom of the clean, or else the readjustment at the top of the clean. So yeah, if you're still watching this, just clarify what you mean because I'm not entirely sure what you mean. What's your thoughts on Squat University? Supposedly like Owen's good friends with that guy. He even went to like his seminar and like he did like a small podcast with him. Yeah, most of the stuff he says is good. I guess I don't have enough knowledge to like disagree with him. He knows a lot about what he's talking about on the shoulders. So yeah, the readjustment after the clean. Um, yeah, that's actually difficult to learn, like the readjustment. Um, I don't have any good like stages or drills to learn that. Um, I guess I should like put more attention to that like when I'm coaching people because I just assume people can do it naturally. Like I've noticed like what like some of the CrossFitters I coach, they actually struggle with that readjustment. Like they do the readjustment out of the clean and they keep their knees locked and then their torso leans back, so it puts a lot of pressure on their lower back and it's not dangerous. I even seen some people like fall back after like the readjustment and like the bar just falls on them. Yeah, the key to doing that correctly is you need to take like the force from the bar come down to you on the quads, not on your lower back, not with your torso leaning back. So make sure you dip down and use your legs. Don't lean back. Of course, you can practice that with like light power clean and jerks. Of course, I wouldn't recommend trying it with like heavier weights until you get it right. And the same goes like when you're re-racking the bar, with reps in the jerk. So like people doing like jerk off racks, I've seen it multiple times where they can't bring it down properly. Just the key is just like to catch it with your legs. Like don't use your back. Like don't lean back with your torso. That's extremely dangerous. Okay, so back to these form checks here. So next one's from Philip. He sent me what was this? Photos? Google Photos? Okay. Hopefully this works. Okay, so this guy is on my Discord and I think Alex gave him some tips already because he just took over my form check. But yeah, I think I've seen this video on Discord. I was going to comment on it, of course, but Alex ruined that for me. But I'll just go over this again. Even though it's like 2 weeks old, sorry. I'll try to do these form checks earlier next time. Um, the jumping back is not much of an issue here. It's only a tiny amount, so I wouldn't really worry about it. The foot pressure in the first pull is pretty good. You don't see any like rocking with the feet. Extension could be a bit better. You need to just lean back just a slight bit more. You need to extend your legs fully. So just a more aggressive extension. You need a more aggressive extension with the arms here as well. It's just a bit soft looking. So basically this portion of the pull is quite slow. So from here to overhead, you need to be more aggressive. You need to think about like locking your arms very aggressively overhead. That's important in the snatch, and in the jerk you need to like extend your arms aggressively because the lockout is important in weightlifting. So just a bit slow during the third pull of the snatch there. But other than that, it's pretty good. Bottom position looks pretty good. Yeah. Is there any more reps here? You can see you're actually jumping to the side in this one. I actually have a similar issue. You just gotta be more conscious of it. Just film every single like top set you do in the snatch and make sure you're not jumping to the side. You could even exaggerate it slightly as an overcorrection. You can try to jump to the left a bit and actually might solve the issue. But overall, yeah, you should just try to jump out just into a wider stance, because your receiving stance the same width or it's slightly more narrow than your starting stance, which is never a good idea. It needs to be like wider. Yeah, try a wider stance. You just need to experiment with it. I bet it would suit you. With a wider stance you can go deeper. That means you can get more weight. Okay, so you said the power clean and jerk. Okay, it's getting kind of late here. I have to call someone, so I might end this in like 10 minutes. So I'm just gonna rush through this a bit. Yeah, you do not want to rip the bar off the floor with that. You should try to extend your arms fully as well. It kind of looks like your arms are bent. Yeah, you can see, trying to pull. There's a bit of arm bend here. So I'd recommend in the starting position, try to like bring your chest out a lot more. Try to create like just a bit more of an arch with your back. Head back, of course. It kind of just looks like you're hunched over here. And you yank the bar off the floor as well. So try to ease off the floor instead, with your arms like almost like locked out. I'm not saying like you should like tense your tricep, but like your arms should just be a bit more relaxed. They shouldn't be so tense like this. So ease off the floor, and then you can like build up on speed. No need to rip off for at full speed. Yeah, there's quite a lot of arm bend there. You can see the contact is a bit too high. Yeah, the extension isn't good as well. You can see you don't like fully extend your legs. So yeah, starting position, chest out a lot more, hips down just a bit lower. You need to use your legs a bit more. Relax the arms, push against the ground with your legs. Ease the bar off the floor, and then gradually build up in speed. And that's fine. Dip was way too fast there. Try to go a bit deeper and control it down a bit more. Of course, the drive is not that great. Well, your legs do fully extend. It's actually kind of weird. Your left leg is fully extended here, but you see your right leg isn't. Of course, you should recover with the front foot first, not the back foot. You probably just made that mistake there. Let's see the second rep what you do. Okay, it looks like you're intentionally doing that. You should recover from the front foot first, not the back foot. You need to get the bar just a bit further back as well. But yeah, good lift. And the last one is from Joseph. Back squat. Okay. So this is the first non-Olympic lift, which is fine. Oh, I remember seeing this video actually, so I looked through these briefly. The centric. I actually remember this video perfectly. The centric is way too fast. The stance is actually too wide as well. I'd bring in the stance a bit more. Also, I'd recommend like purchasing like weightlifting shoes if your goal is to do like ass to grass high bar squats. Looks like you're wearing flats here. Yeah, the depth isn't good here. So yeah, just get weightlifting shoes. Bring in your stance. Slow down the eccentric as well. There's no need to go down so fast. You first have to learn the like squat form correctly before moving at this speed. You need to just work a bit more on like hip and ankle mobility as well. The best thing for that is like slow eccentric like pause squats and like pause at the bottom and really try to sink down into the deepest possible position. And then over time, like your squat mobility will increase. You can see your knees are caving in excessively as well during the concentric, and that's why I say bring in your stance, because that's more likely to happen with a wide stance like that. Hips are shooting back way too much, so yeah, there's a number of issues here. You just gotta lower the weight and focus on form, pretty much. Just need to make a lot of changes there. But I mean, like 143 kilos for 6 reps at like 15 years old, that's pretty good. But you know, think about the future. If you keep squatting at this, yeah, sure, you might get like a 200 kilo squat in like a year, but beyond that, like if you keep going, you're gonna get injured. Well, I guess injured isn't the right word to use. Like you're gonna realize that it'd be hard to like push beyond 200 kilos because this is an optimal technique. Like doing this in the squat will actually prevent you from producing a lot of power. And of course, like your injury rate would increase if you squat like this. Yeah, that doesn't look good. Hips shot back, knees caving in a lot. So yeah, just really like lower the weight. Work on form first before hitting these weights. Okay, that's it for the form check videos. Sorry it took so long to reply to them. I'll try to do it sooner next time. And so for last questions here on YouTube. Okay, there's only 2 questions there. Tips to squatting with long femurs. Had some knee groin pain while I started squatting. Yeah, of course, like you're at a disadvantage, like if you have long femurs when you squat. It's gonna be different from most people. Like you're gonna have to like lean forward. Don't be afraid to lean forward a lot more. That's not an issue. Like if your body structure like forces you into that position. Do like more like accessory exercises that like targets the quads. So like Bulgarian split squat, belt squats and everything, because it's harder to like work your quads if you have like a squat where your torso is leaning forward significantly. It's going to work your back and hamstrings a lot more than your quads. Did you build those platforms in the gym? Yeah, I did. Both of them actually. One of them costs like, with the materials, probably like 400 euros, and the other one costs only like 120, so pretty cheap. Michael asks, do you find purpose in doing straight leg deadlifts compared to snatch and clean pulls? Depends on like what period of training I'm at. So like if I'm like far away from a peak, then doing stiff leg deadlifts is like a great like general strength exercise. But like when I'm close to the peak, doing snatch and clean pulls is better because it's more specific and it has more carryover for like the snatch and clean jerk. So it would be more beneficial to those lifts when I'm like peaking for like a max snatch and clean jerk. But like if I want to just increase my like lower back strength and hamstring strength, stiff leg deadlifts would be superior. All right, so it's actually been an hour, so I'll end it here. Hope you guys enjoyed the live stream. Thanks for joining. See ya.